configure the vCenter Server appliance using the console. Hello everyone, this is second part of the series that covers vCenter Server appliance. So in the first part we talked about vCenter Server appliance and its features, benefits, and how you can download and deploy the vCenter Server appliance. Now in the second part, we'll talk about how you can configure vCenter Server appliance using its console. So when you boot up the vCenter Server appliance, you need to configure the network settings and time zone to communicate on the network. If you don't configure the network of the vCenter Server appliance, then it will take the settings from an available DHCP server if it exists. And if you don't configure the time zone as well, then the vCenter Server appliance will synchronize the time with the ESXi host on which it is running. So network settings and time zone can be configured either from this console or using a web interface. So here you can see you can open a browser on a computer, and if you type in this link and accept the EULA, you'll get an option to configure the vCenter Server appliance. Only if the appliance is accessible via this IP address, which might have been assigned by a DHCP server. So in this demo, I'll show you how you can configure the network settings and time zone from the console of the vCenter Server appliance. So okay, I'm in the console of the vCenter Server appliance. So the first thing I'll do is I'll log into the console. To do that, you select login and press enter. Now type in the default username and password, and the default username is root and the password is VMware. Alright, now first thing that I'll do is I'll configure the network settings, and then I'm going to configure the time zone of the vCenter Server appliance. So to configure the network, I gotta type this command, which is /opt /VMware /share /VAMI /VAMI underscore config underscore net, and press enter. You'll get a menu where you can set the different parameters of the network settings. So the first thing that I'll do is I'll set the IP address for ETH01. So I'll select option number 6, and I don't want to configure IPv6 address, so I'll type N and press enter. Yes, I do want to configure IPv4 address, so I'll type Y and press enter. I don't have a DHCP server. Instead, I'll set the IP address manually, so I'll type N and press enter. Now I'll get an option to set the IP address, so in my case I'll set 192.168.10.7 as the IP address for this vCenter Server appliance. I'll press enter, and the net mask would be 255.255.255.0. I'll press enter again, and the above information is correct, so I'll type Y and press enter. Now it's going to apply the settings, and you can see the network parameters successfully changed to requested values. So after specifying the IP address manually, I'll specify the DNS. So I'll type option number 4 and press enter. So I only have one DNS server, which is my domain controller. So I'll type my domain controller IP address, which is 192.168.10.1, and press enter. I don't have a second DNS server, so I'll simply press enter, and you can see that the DNS server settings updated. The next thing that I'll do is I'll specify the host name. So I'll type option number 3 and press enter, and the host name for this vCenter server appliance is vCenter02, and I'll type my domain name lifemusictech.local. So the FQDN is vcenter02.lifemusictech.local. So I'll press enter, and you can see that the host name has been set. Now I just want to make sure that my network settings are correct, so I'll type option number 0 and press enter, and you can see that the network configuration for ETH0 is 192.168.10.7. net mask is 255.255.0. Don't have a gateway, but I do have a DNS server, which is 192.168.10.1, and the fully qualified domain name is vcenter02.lifemusictech.local. Alright, so everything seems to be fine with my network settings, so I'll type option number 1, which will exit from this main menu, and I'll type exit again to go back to the console, and from the console all the way down you have an option to set the time zone. So I'll select that and press enter. So I'll select a continent. In my case it would be number 5, which is Asia. I'll press enter, and I'll select a country. I'll select my country, which is option number 14, which is India, and I'll press enter, and it will show the local time of my country, and this information is okay to me, so I'll select option number 1 and press enter. Alright, now if you look at the time zone, it is showing IST, which is Indian Standard Time Zone. So that is it. We configured network and time zone settings of the vCenter server appliance.